From the legendary Warner Fez Studios in a predominantly white neighborhood, Warner Fez presents Showtime with the Paulo.
Hey, Paulo, your life's a movie.
Hey, Paulo, your life's a movie. How are you today?
What is Paulo doing on?
I don't know.
Paulo, you know I'm the person you check with before I do the booking here.
Right.
And you didn't talk to me about coming on the show.
I did email you.
You told me you gave me a list of movies. You never said anything about coming on the show.
I know Wednesday's his easy day, isn't it, Paulo?
That's true. It's my easy day.
But Wednesday's his easy day, Fez.
All right, he's supposed to tell me Wednesday's his easy day.
Well, we're all telling you Wednesday's his easy day.
Paulo, don't go around me to get on the show, Paulo.
I didn't go around. I'm not going around. I don't know that much. I'm not in the loop. I didn't go around.
Just know this. Wednesday is easy day for Paulo. When were you trying to book him? On one of his hard days?
Thursday is always Paulo's day.
Thursday is a very difficult day for him.
How do you know these things?
Well, he emails me now. He emailed me last night and said he would talk to him today, too.
Oh, he's doing the go-around.
I wanted to do him on Friday when he emailed me. And then I said, then he emailed me back and said, Wednesday's my easy day. So I wrote him back, let's make it easy. Let's do it on Wednesday.
And now you're acting all innocent, Paulo, like none of this happened, like you just happened.
What's wrong with that?
Because he's supposed to go through me, Ronnie.
What are the names on the show?
Ron and Fez.
What's wrong with Ron saying Wednesday's an easy day?
This is something I took over. This is something I said I would do, and I don't like him disrespecting and going around.
Just think of it as another thing you're losing.
Paulo, you talk to me from now on.
I'll talk to you. I'd talk to you every day if you'd let me. Would you?
That's too much.
Can I talk to you?
Now, Fez, you want all this stuff to happen so to go smoother, right?
Yes.
Why not do this off the air? Then, when this is happening, we're doing the jokes with Paulo, like, get, we're all having fun. Becomes like a fun thing. Now it's going to be a tense deal for the listeners.
See, now because if I try to do it off the air, he'll just go around me again. I have to call him out while I have him available.
If you're furious about anything, Fez, find my missing protein bar. Because I came in here with a protein bar. Now it's gone. And seriously, during the earlier hours, I was going like this. I can't wait till I have that protein bar. I'm saving it for the last hour. I actually thought at one point, don't eat the protein bar now. Save it for the last hour. The treat. I'll have to go get myself another shish kebab downstairs. All right, Paulo.
Yes, sir.
First of all, welcome to Easy Wednesdays.
Okay, and again, I feel horrible. Please, is there any way I could talk to Fez more often?
My name is Fez, first of all. Maybe by not calling me Frez.
Why don't we do this, Fez? During popcorn season, and we're into it now.
We're indeed.
And unlike you, Paulo and I see the movies. So obviously we're going to talk to each other. You haven't even seen Star Trek yet.
No, I haven't seen it. My summer's starting late.
Right. Well, the rest of us are involved, and we'd like to do this. Paulo, it's popcorn season. All the true fans are doing it. It's Easy Wednesdays with Paulo.
We never talked about Easy Wednesdays.
And the good thing about Easy Wednesdays is that you get a jump on all the other lazy reviewers.
We do. All right, there's some talk about me trying the sausage cart on, is it 54th and 5th? It's getting very good Yelps. But this bothers me in the Yelp thing with the stars.
Mm-hmm.
If you went to, let's say, a place that was like just had hot dogs.
Right.
And they were the best hot dogs place you ever had. And it was a thing of 1 to 5 stars. Could you give that 5 stars knowing that the pretty good steak place gets 4 stars?
Wow, that would be, you would think they would need a different ranking system, like
you say
maybe
that,
hot dogs.
Well, you
instead
say
of stars.
That. But let's look at this. In let's say Rotten Tomatoes. They always give the how many people approve. Well, I think you're going to be a little bit easier on some movies than you were on another. Like if I see Toy Story, for instance, right? Which I would give, I'll give this a thumbs up. If we were doing thumbs up and thumbs down, I would give it a thumbs up because it's better than most cartoons. But is that the same thing as giving the thumbs up in the way that you would Pulp Fiction or Goodfellas or The Matrix? And I'll say the same thing with Star Trek. I will give Star Trek a nice big thumbs up because for a summer movie, it was a pretty good one. But would I compare that to those other movies? So how do you do that, Polo?
Well, you have a good point. I mean, I tend to look at the majority of movies as just basic mediocrity, and you take what's good out of it, and you endure the bad of it. Then there's a few that are really just so horrible you wish you could walk out, and then there's those that are superlative and excellent, and those are the ones we praise to heaven.
But what kind of movie would you be more easy on? Because, and people think I'm tough on summer movies, but if one is acceptable, I feel such a fucking thing of relief, and Star Trek fell into that for me.
Well, the real test of excellence is if you make a movie that's, let's say, a genre film, and you're supposed to judge genre films below, let's say, quality films. But some genre films are just as good, if not better, than the quality films. It really does depends on how into it the movie, how much they invested in the movie, and how much of a total.
I would agree with that, but let's say in the case of like the first Matrix, a movie like that is always shocking because most movies that are like the Matrix are so fucking awful.
Right, and The Matrix is a good example of a film that got a huge audience, but I'm not going to say it's one of the greatest movies of all time or anything. And I don't think it's a quality film. I just think
it's one of the greater of that kind of movies of all time.
It's a very good genre film, exactly. And,
all right,
and I don't think.
All right, let's try this with DC. DC, where do you think on this?
I don't know that you can necessarily compare movies outside of their own genre just because you have to take everything that makes the movie itself whole. So Toy Story is a great example. Compared to other cartoons, it might be better, but compared to other movies in a storyline, does it add up? Does it have all the elements that makes a good movie in general?
No, it really doesn't because obviously it's a family film. It's for children. So it's not going to grab you the same way.
But what about if you use something like a comic book movie? Now, Dark Knight, it had a lot in it. It had a suspense theme. It had obviously the overtone of the comic book theme. But if you were to compare that to, say, any other fantasy-type movie or even against The Matrix, does it add up in terms of storyline and all the development of the characters and the plot?
See, that's a really good point because, everybody liked Batman last year, right? But you really do have to say, all right, that's a little cheesy. I'm not going to pay attention to that. Yes, that could never happen. I'm not going to pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying, Polo?
Yeah. And
you're actually easier on Batman than you would be on a real movie.
And I think what made Batman last year so good is just that we all became so impressed with Heath Ledger's performance, and it almost became bigger than the movie, and that's really what transcended the movie, in essence, is his performance was so good, of course, and he died, and just all those things combined to just raise everybody's appreciation of that movie, I think.
So that Heath Ledger dying made people even easier on it.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, would he have gotten the Oscar if he lived? That would have been a fucking tough pull. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, there's no way to know that because he had died even before we saw the film. So it's not like the reviews came out, then he died, and people felt bad. Is there a good chance he could have won last year? I think there is. Would he have won going away where nobody, had a word to say about it? No, that's not true. Because he was a beloved actor, and that happened. I mean, the same thing with Network. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
Yeah, Network is a good example, but I think a very, very good example of a genre film that transcended was Silence of the Lambs. It came out early in the year, it did very well, and then at the end of the year, it won every Oscar in sight. I mean,
that's a really good point. Silence of the Lambs should suck. It should really be a piece of shit movie, and it's really, if you go back and look at it from, its photography point of view, there's still a lot of fucking holes in that movie where you feel like you're watching a cheap film.
Uh-huh.
But the fact that movie was great, it's almost hard to believe. It's almost like what if you made a Batman that was great? Or a fucking Spider-Man.
And another example is an old movie, Casablanca, which everybody thought was going to be a piece of crap. Nobody had. It was complete disorganized mess when they were making it. It was a stupid war movie, and now it's probably one of the greatest classics of all time. Some things sometimes miracles just happen in the making of something.
Like it just goes all their way. Andy, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, greetings from Cleveland. Hey, listen, I think Heath Ledger totally would have won it. I mean, when you watch that movie, if you know anything about acting at all, you're looking at him playing that role. You can't pull him out of it. You know, some actors, they put on a role, and every 30 seconds you're reminded, oh, it's that guy playing this character. No, it was
Andy,
the Joker, he was there.
Watch Brokeback Mountain. It's probably even better in making you forget you're looking at fucking Heath Ledger. And he didn't get it for Brokeback Mountain. And if you really did a further review and look at Brokeback Mountain versus the Truman Capote role.
All right.
But everyone felt like, hey, you know what? This other guy's been doing such good work for so long. He did the Truman Capote. Let's give him the Oscar. Then it kind of became Heath Ledger's time later.
And I
wonder too if, let's say people had known Heath Ledger was going to die, if he would have won for Brokeback Mountain.
If they known he was going to die.
If just somehow they knew that because it probably seemed like Heath Ledger was going to have plenty of more chances.
And that's exactly right. That's why I think they probably would have went this summer. Why bother giving him the award for playing the Joker? We know he's going to do great work, and we can give him the award for something that he can and the rest of us can be proud of. All right, Paulo, let's look at this weekend. Right. What is going to win the weekend? Will it be Terminator or Museum?
Okay, you have the two big movies, Night at the Museum, Terminator vs. Salvation. You want to do Night at the Museum first?
Well, what's going to win the weekend?
I'm going to have to say Night at the Museum. It's family friendly. It's positive. It's big. It's upbeat. It had a huge. It's a sequel which had a huge.
You agree with that, Fez?
No, I think it's going to be Terminator. Terminator will win the weekend.
All right, let's do this. Whoever is right gets to pick the day and the topic next week for movie reviews.
That's fine with me. Paulo, are you in?
I always win bets, so I don't. And some people don't always win bets, so it seems like
man, another fucking shot at you.
Yeah, you've won the wife lottery.
First of all, the psychologist kicks you in the balls today, calls you a 5-year-old running your life. And now this with Paulo. All right, Night at the Museum, Paulo.
Yes.
Why did you like it?
It's, as I say, you've got two movies coming out this weekend. Night at the Museum is a much more upbeat, fun movie. The whole family can go. I mean, Terminator happens to be a PG-13, but I mean, Night at the Museum is really all the family can go. And it's got a great cast, and Hank Azaria, I wouldn't say I liked it. No, I wouldn't say I liked it, but I'm just saying, you're asking me which is going to win the box office. I'd say it's going to.
So you wouldn't even say this is you wouldn't even say that this is going to a good movie, this Night at the Museum.
It's a good family film. I mean, I thought the first one was crap and people loved it. So, that's not really the important thing, was whether it's good or bad in some cases. You just, this is what you get sometimes with these popcorn movies. Sometimes you get crap and people like crap. I mean, I'm not saying so much that it's crap. It's
Paulo, isn't it weird when I say that people think that I'm being a snub? They think I'm being a movie snub.
I mean, obviously,
these movies stink, and they get sequels. They stink
because they make a lot of money. It makes a lot of money.
But that's the weird thing. They're so terrible, but people show up. Dan, you're on Fez.
Oh, according to Paulo, Night at the Museum, soon to be Night at the Oscars. Go, go, go.
You honestly think this is going to win the Oscar for Best Picture, Paulo?
It has a great cast. There's no question. As I say, you've got Ricky Gervais, you got Hank Azaria, you got Christopher Guest, Robin Williams, Amy Adams. I mean, a lot of these people have got.
Azaria says, "Hank, you for the Oscar." Get.
And
Christopher be our guest at the Oscar ceremony. Get.
Guess who's going to win the Oscar this year? Christopher. Get.
Amy, more Oscars for Adams? Get.
I mean, just
take this bouquet of Oscars and put it in that Gervais. That one doesn't even work. Get.
Ricky, don't you lose this Oscar!
Boom, 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 boom,
Ben
boom.
Stiller and Owen Wilson are together again, and that's always a huge draw every time they've only
Wilson's gonna be Owen an Oscar to Ricky Gervais. Kick.
But, I mean, Hank Azaria...
How long has Stiller been our Oscar favorite?
Ooh.
Steve Coogan's in it. I mean, these are funny people, and I mean, they don't necessarily get to work the chops that they should if they maybe just had their own movie. But it's nice to see them all together. And as I say, Hank Azaria is the big standout here.
Hank Azaria, it's his night, huh?
Yeah, because he does a lot of voices. He's always doing voices for The Simpsons and everything else, and he's good with the funny voices.
Yeah, you can't take that away from him. He's Mo.
Exactly. So yeah, I'd say, bring the family, have fun. It's the same movie as the first movie.
All right, so it stinks. Let's move over to the Oscar-nominated Terminator film.
Yeah, the Terminator film, obviously, PG-13, so the family can still go. And a lot of people were complaining. They're saying, how could the Terminator be PG? But it's actually very violent, very heavily action-oriented, but it's dark. It's dark. It's that kind of dark vision of the future. And it's unrelenting. There's no comedy. There's nothing. It's just bad robots. And, everything's dark and dirty. I hate that when everything's dirty in the future. And but it's lots of action.
You want to see a happy future.
I would love to see
And you honestly think that Terminator is going to be the Oscar-winning Best Picture? Larry, you're on Fez.
This year, Terminator says, Oscar la vista, baby.
Hey, Ryan, you're on with Paul O.
There's a new muse for an Oscar that's not at the museum.
Yeah, that's for the other Oscar.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, Anton Yelchin, who was in Star Trek, is showing up again, so he's obviously... And actually, this Sam Worthington is the hot new actor. He's the best thing in the movie. He's really good.
Worthington his weight in Oscars.
And Yeltsin's winning a ton of Oscars.
And, of course, Christian Bale doesn't do any cursing in the movie. And,
Anthony.
All right, got it now.
And McG. And there's a big controversy about the guy who doesn't have a real name directing the movie.
McG wins its Oscar season.
But, I mean...
Christopher Bale is going to have to bail the Oscar boat out this year.
You get to see the famous Jane Alexander and Michael Ironside.
Hey, bartender, mix me an Alexander filled with Oscars.
The lovely Helena Bonham Carter shows up. But anyway,
this time we're going to get Carter at the Oscar night. Hey, Sean, you're on with Paul O.
Christian Bale's gonna get a salvation at the Oscar night.
And I mean, honestly, Christian Bale almost looks like he's distracted in this movie, like somebody got in his line of vision or something. He's just not seems to be paying attention.
Sister Christian, it's your time to win an Oscar. Hey, Pat, you're on Fez with Paul O.
There'll be a termination at the Oscars.
Come with me if you want to win an Oscar.
Not getting that
My
one.
daughter's in it.
Come with me if you want to live.
She's lovely.
Terminator.
And the rapper Common is in it as well. But I generally, it's a dark picture. I don't like the darkness. It doesn't really add too much to the other movies. The other movies all took place in the present tense, and now we're finally getting in the future. You think we'd learn a lot of new stuff, but it's like not. It's just
Any other movies coming out this year, Polo?
This year, of course.
This weekend.
This week, nothing really. Those are the big competition last week. The strange thing.
So I won't be going to the fucking movies again.
Did you see Angels and Demons yet?
No, I can't see that shit, Polo.
Okay, well, it's interesting. And then you got Dance Flick this week. If you want to see a Wayans Brothers movie, you know, that's making fun of movies.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit at home with a gun in my hand, just wondering what I should do.
The odd thing is that there was a Jennifer Aniston movie that opened last week, and it was like only in a few theaters, and I didn't quite understand that. I thought she was very big.
No, she's not. John, you're on Run Fez.
The Terminator says, "I'll be back for my Oscar."
I'm a little disappointed because the film. I mean, it was dystopian, which is my new word, which I like to use, which is a future full of misery. And
yes, we're all very familiar with that word.
Unfortunately, as far as I'm looking forward to Drag Me to Hell coming up, Sam Raimi's new movie that's coming up soon. So that's the one that and The Hangover and those. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not too thrilled about the summer in general. And you were talking about.
You know what? It was probably right that Fez was cock blocking you from doing the show because you know nothing.
That's not true.
That's why he goes around me.
I didn't go around you. I emailed you too, sir. And if I could, I'd like to call you more often, and we could talk about. Can I talk about personal matters with you, sir?
Yeah. What do you got? What's going on?
Oh, nothing. Everything's fine in my life, and that's what I was trying. I like.
You get out of your money problems?
No, not at all. But I'm with someone who's very good to me.
How in debt are you?
Oh, ridiculously. Oh, that reminds me. Everybody was complaining about the Dave thing, so I did put the download up on the site, so they can get the download with Dave and everything and the Gale.
What are you talking about?
The Gap movie.
Oh, that's already forgotten about that.
Oh, that's okay, but I'm just saying. I mean, everybody bugged me about the.
I heard you sold 30 copies of that movie.
Oh, I sold a whole lot more than that, but I mean, obviously, I still haven't made my money.
Louis C.K. said it was the worst movie in history.
And he didn't even say. I mean, we sit there, and he's watching a few minutes.
Louis C.K. More like F-U-C-K. At Oscar.
It wasn't my. I went with the bit. I mean, obviously,
You're great that way, Paul.
I'm sorry, but I had no choice in that matter. I realize that.
Here's Rob. You're on Run Fez.
Christian Bale's going to terminate any doubt that he's going to win an Oscar.
Do people still hate Christian Bale for yelling at somebody?
I think so. I think he still got a bad rep out of that.
I didn't hate him at all for that. It actually made me like him more. I'm like, maybe he cares a little.
This is lost like 70 pounds and was basically dying for a role.
Jay, you're on with Paulo.
Hey, Paulo, I was wondering if you have heard anything about District 9.
Yeah, District 9 is a foreign film that's kind of a space, thing, and it looks to be really good, but again, no stars or anything like that.
Is this supposed to be like South Africa? I was trying to figure out what the accent was.
Yeah. I mean, it looks good, but there's no stars, so it's kind of under the radar right now, and it's well down towards the end of the summer. So, and actually we were talking about genre films. At the end of the summer, now that Cannes is going on, everybody's talking about Inglourious Bastards, and will that transcend the war film genre to a certain extent? So, that's a big hope because there's a lot going on at Cannes this week, especially with.
But you're saying that Night of the Oscars is going to win it all.
No, I'm not saying Night at the Museum is not going to win the Oscars. I mean, there's no question about that.
Well, you said Owen Wilson could pick up that?
No, I said Hank Azaria is funny, but...
Is that owing him an Oscar?
I don't know if he's going to win an Oscar. I don't think he's going to win an Oscar, because he's never even had a shot. I mean, there's some people... I mean, Robin Williams is...
Will Night at the Museum win an Oscar? I think it Owen will, son.
That is a very elaborate blurb.
It was an excellent blurb. Amy Adams, of course. And Thomas Lennon.
Amy, Oscar's in there? There sure is, Miss Adams. Help yourself.
Actually, I like Thomas Lennon wrote the two movies, and he's well known as an actor. In Reno 911, he plays.
What's his name?
Guy with Thomas Lennon. He's the gay guy with the short shorts.
Imagine all the Oscars. All right, Paula, we've tried to make this work. We just can't.
I understand.
Just wrap the Oscar up in Lennon's.
And again, Fez, I will call you every day now, and we'll talk. And
you're sneaky.
I'll get better acquainted again. It's not my fault. I was trying to, just stay in myself in my own
Paulo,
life.
any more problems? Just go around them.
I'm not going to.
You go through me, Paulo. That is the chain of command here.
I'd love to go through Fez or around Fez or whichever. I mean, that's not my problem. I'd love to. I'm going to call him tonight.
All right, Paulo.
All right, buddy.
Best of luck with Gap. I really think it's starting to pick up steam, too. Josh, you're on Run Fez.
Looks like Mr. Williams is going to be another Oscar.
We're done with that, please. Let's do it in its time period, not a second before.
866-RON-0-FEZ. That's 866-RON-0-FEZ. This weekend, time change on the Saturday Night Virus. The best of weird.
Setting the clocks back?
Best of Weird Medicine with Dr. Steve. That's going to be on midnight to 1 a.m.
We're listening to Weird Medicine. Weird Medicine on 202.
So that's good.
By the way, I want to say something to Dr. Steve, and that is thank you for curing my pandemic. You've done what the other idiots can't do. You're a pandemic solver.
Those Z-Packs work, as long as you take all of them.
Weird Medicine.
It is midnight to 1 a.m. this Saturday night on the Saturday Night Virus. So that's Saturday going into Sunday morning.
And I just also want to say this about midnight at the Weird Medicine. Put your doctor to bed. The other good thing, too, for Dr. Steve about me beating the pandemic with his help is I am Dr. Steve's first patient who ever lived. So, they call me Ronnie B, the Miracle Boy. I do the show with the luckiest man alive, and he knows it, our own Fez Watley.
With TV show, they're starting to announce the new TV shows for the fall season.
They are, Fez. Do you have anything prepared about that?
Well, what I was wondering is, I saw the Sherry Shepherd is doing a show where she's divorced and making the most of it.
She's playing a shepherd.
Now, what are like the most overdone TV show premises?
Why not just say that without the craziness of the Sherry Shepherd setup?
But I mean,
I would say this in terms of TV. And this happens in dramatic TV when they frame someone, pin it on the patsy, and it comes out in court. I'd be willing to say that never really fucking happens. If it does, it's the rarest thing. And yet, how many times have we watched a drama on TV where a guy who doesn't have any fucking alibi whatsoever and everything gets pinned on him? Because if I was doing a murder and I plan on pinning on Fez, how do I know that he isn't going to be at Smith's bar on Saturday night enjoying 2U? So no matter what, I left his sneaker behind, whatever, there would still be 400 people. So I think that sometimes, like, people get railroaded by cops or the legal system lets them down out of laziness. But I rarely think it's because another criminal has set them up. Some other genius criminal has set them up to take the fall.
Well, there's also the hospital patient that just isn't going to make it. And it's not like they pull through because of some sort of standard procedure or medicine that we all know about and have in the pharmacy. And it could have gone either way, but they pull through. No, this is some dramatic discovery that just happens in the hospital to absolutely save the patient.
Well, and the same thing, the amount of TV doctors that operate on each other is just astounding. This time he's operating on his head nurse. His head nurse.
Well, surgery outside of the hospital any emergency surgery where they have to like use a pen for a tracheotomy or something like that.
Radar O'Reilly. Give me another time that happened. Bongo, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Lost.
I think one of the most overused premises is the awkward living situations, like 2.5 Men, Odd Couple, Friends. They're just worn out.
Well, the odd thing about that is it normally doesn't go on for 10 years. We've all had to crash at a buddy's house. But then every, you get back up on your feet, you say thanks, and you're out of there. You don't stay there for a decade.
I think the mother-in-law coming to visit, a surprise visit or something like that, still is a huge premise on TV.
Yeah, mother-in-laws do come to visit, though. I can back that fucking one up. Here's Jonathan. Jonathan, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, Ron, being a cop myself for 10 years, I got to say the cop show dramas
with the dysfunctional cast of characters, including the gung-ho guy who doesn't play by the rules and the hot chick who wants to be respected for her skills and not her look.
Well, what's really funny about those cop shows is there's only one of each. You never go, by the way, there's 3 gun-ho guys here who don't want to play by the rules. And there's 4 messy guys. There's only one of each. You would think, doesn't he have some friends with similar interests? He's so messy. Why is he hanging out with a guy who's so incredibly clean? MJ, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, you notice how Polo sounds like Jerry Springer? I don't know, maybe it's just me. Listen, how about this overused? An ex-NFL football star, Michael Strahan, starring as an ex-NFL football star in the Fox News series called Brothers, with a handicap, I don't know, it's him and a handicapped brother, I guess. I don't know. I think that's a little overused. They just take random...
I will say this, putting Michael Strahan in a fucking situation comedy is ridiculous. Yes, if you need someone tackled in that comedy, yes. But depending on the timing, no, I don't think so.
That should be called Gap.
Talking about hack premises, cliches used on television, 866-RON-0-FEZ, 866-RON-0-FEZ. Eric, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, have you noticed that nobody actually has their baby in a hospital? Everybody's having it in elevators or the cab or the subway or the plane. No one actually has their baby in a hospital in sitcoms.
And no one ever starts to have their baby in a cab and then finishes it at the hospital, like what happens in real life. In real life, you start to have these pains, and a day later on that afternoon, you have the baby. On television, you start to have a pain, and 13 seconds later, you're pushing to a guy who can't be cool. He can't fucking say to himself, just push. He has to yell and go fucking crazy. Mike, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ronnie, great show. One premise I'm kind of tired of is the genius talk show host who's paired up with a guy who's mentally unstable and has a secret he won't share with anybody.
Why buzzballs? Can't you see we're struggling today? Can't you see we're trying to hold this show together for you guys? We know we have problems. We know it as much as anyone. One of us doesn't even want to do this anymore. And yet we're trying to pull this thing together. Be on our side. John, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ronnie. What about cliffhangers at the end of series, at the end of a season, like somebody has amnesia, doesn't remember anybody else? What is that?
Well, amnesia is an interesting thing because if you have to think of the times that we've seen this in movies or on TV shows, I'm sure we're well over 1,000. So high are we with this that you won't go up to a single American and say, what is amnesia? And they couldn't give you the example. Now, have you ever in your life known anyone with amnesia? You ever hear, how's your dad doing? Oh my God, he hit his head, he has amnesia. He doesn't remember that he's married to my mom anymore. It's fucking zany over at our house. You've never once in your life met anyone with amnesia. Now, you've met people who've went into comas. They went into a coma, they come up, and later they're like, what fucking happened? I don't remember shit. But the fun amnesia thing just doesn't go down that way. Dave, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, guys, how many times has there been the plane that's going to crash, or you're trapped in the basement, so you have to share all those pent-up true feelings, thinking you're going to die?
I can honestly say this. I've never been trapped in a situation with other human beings before. And yet I've seen it so many times on television.
Well, they never think they're going to get out of it alive.
And they'll do that during a sitcom. And you just want to say everyone gets out of a sitcom alive. Everybody's going to make it.
Though the wise ass grandmother seems to make it through a lot of different shows.
Patrick, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
How you guys doing? I always thought it was odd that the Odd Couple, Everybody Loves Raymond, and that show with Jason Alexander, were they all had they were sports writers.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's funny about that in any level, and why they would even try it more than once in any show. So it's very odd.
And again, how many sports writers you actually know in your life?
Zero.
There's not many in every town. And yet, if you really look for the number of sports writers divided by how many times they go out there, it's pretty astronomical. Pretty astronomical. Here's Dawn. Dawn, you're on Manifest.
Yeah, the worst is Medium. My husband watches it, and every single week she tells them what's going to happen, and then they never believe her. They always say she misunderstood her dream.
Here's what fucking kills you. It's her own husband. Now, her own husband has seen her now talk to 300 fucking dead people. She will wake him up. I have a dream that your mother is going to... And he'll be like this every week. Honey, it was a dream. It's just a dream. And I get so mad at her for going, yeah, was it just a fucking dream when I kept your brother from getting killed? Was it just a dream when I brought your father's back and show you where the money was? She never tries to fucking convince him that she can pull it off. And she's never had something that was just a dream. It would be great if every once in a while they would just go, well, I guess that was just a dream.
Yeah, it's very annoying. Can't watch it.
Here is Brian. Brian, you're on Fez.
Hey, one of the best ones is the brother nobody knows about, the evil twin that comes into the scenario out of nowhere.
What's even weirder than an evil twin is an evil cousin. You're not even fucking... You don't even share parents. And you look exactly like... Except for your hair is a different color.
Yeah, usually the dark-haired one is the evil one.
Well, that is the evil color, Fez.
The evil brunette.
Matt in D.C.
Hey, all the gay guys are really flamboyant, and they say things like, hey!
Here is Tom. Tom, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
What's going on, buddies? Every time someone on a sitcom gets addicted to drugs, it's always diet pills, and it's always to do better in school.
And they learn by the end of the episode. No one ever spends maybe a year, 2, 3 years of a fucking sitcom seasons being on pills. You'll never see, like, don't ever fucking deal with him. He's been on diet pills for the last 3 fucking years. We're worried about him. He's tried to quit a couple times. No one has ever tried to quit and not worked it out on these fucking shows. When Tom Hanks was a drunk and he knocked down the family, everybody's just like, well, you're going to go to rehab. Yeah, I am. I don't want to be better. And the rest of us are going to be closer. He didn't say, yeah, I am, then walk upstairs and start fucking drinking again.
Oh, there's no relapses.
Here is Dave. Dave, you're on Run Fuzz.
Hey, I know a guy, and he actually he has amnesia, and it's nothing like what they say. Like, they over embellish on the TV shows.
What is his amnesia like?
It's like things like he wouldn't know how to like comb his hair. Like, he'd lose like certain motor functions he had to relearn. And like things he forgot were real small, like where he grew up, like the city he grew up in, things like that. Like nothing like he didn't like leave his whole family because he got knocked on the head.
Here's Smith. You're on a Face show.
Every sitcom has an episode where someone that's never talked about sports betting is a huge gambler. Someone that's never talked about poker is a poker expert.
Yeah, it does happen.
They actually did that one on Golden Girls one time. All of a sudden, B. Arthur was this huge gambling addict from years before.
No one ever knew about it?
No, it had never come up until that episode. Never came up again, as far as I know. She liked the ponies.
Yeah, well, who doesn't? When those fuckers start to run, anything can happen.
Here's a hack TV premise. The date that's the guy doesn't want the girl to go on, so he ends up showing up at the date either like in a disguise or hiding behind a menu and ends up ruining the date.
I have put on some disguises and followed women before. I put on a sombrero. Well, do you think there is as much mistrust as there is in sitcoms? I mean, the wife doesn't trust the husband. Husband doesn't trust what people that date. They do not trust each other at all. And I'm watching the show and I'm like this. What does he think she's going to do? Slip and fall on a cock? Have a little fucking trust out there. Another thing that happens that I don't think has ever happened before in like real life is, let's say Fez would come up and listen in the door and I would be talking to a girl and he would hear this sexy conversation, but really inside we were just talking about real melons. Oh, I like your melons. Yeah, put them in your hands. Oh, I'm squeezing your melons. I like when you squeeze my melons. Fucking Fez is sitting, listening, and he thinks it's tits without ever once opening up the door or saying later, like, hey, did you grab her tits? No, he's talking about melons. Or have you ever even been in that long of a conversation with someone over some fucking over some melons?
Now, my reaction would be on TV is to overly freak out about it. Not think there's any consenting adults in the other side of the door, but to actually think that it's tits and still burst into the room.
Here's John. John, you're on Fez.
Hey guys, what about the male who ends up dating like 3 different girls in an episode, and then they figure out that they've been seeing the same guy and plot against him?
Yeah, there is a lot of plotting against that. Now, the reality of it is normally when you are dating 2 or 3 different girls and they find out about it, they tend to call the other girls whores. They don't really plot against you. If anything, they get a little more competitive with each other.
Or there's the guy that has 2 dates for the same night, and he'll think he can go on both dates. And for some reason, in the sitcoms, actually change clothes to go to the second date.
Not wear the same clothes?
Why? I mean, like, that would matter, that you have to put on a sweater and another shirt and new shoes.
All right, now, Fez, one of the shows, out of all the misunderstanding shows, that Three's Company is the worst at it.
Oh, yeah.
How did you become such a big fan of what I consider to be maybe the worst of all these shows?
I started watching it, I got into it, and then when they added Don Knotts to it, then that sealed the deal. I was in it just for Don Knotts.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because Don Knotts came in what? Season 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you already gave it 6 years. I'm trying to say is it's the worst fucking writing. Forget everything else. Here is Kyle. Kyle, you're on Ron Fez.
Oh, yeah, one of those setups that always makes me mad. They've been doing it since the Honeymooners, Flintstones, too. Fat guy, hot wife.
Hey, there could be a fat guy with 2 chicks. Hey, Richie boy, you're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie B?
Yeah.
And Fatty Pneumonia. The biggest bullshit premise is like in Friends, and it's been used in a bunch of other sitcoms and a bunch of movies, is all these people living in a big city in a high-rise apartment. They become friends with all the neighbors in the building. They all party together. They all go out and socialize together. I was listening to O&A, and Opie lives in a high-rise, so does Jimmy, and they said they don't know anybody. They tried to meet neighbors. They don't know anybody. It's total bullshit.
Do you know people in your building, Fez?
I don't know a lot, but I know some people in my building, yes.
I know tons in my building. I know far too many. Here is Gary. Gary, you're on Run Fez.
Hi. Absolutely none of the children in any of the sitcoms act and talk like children we see in real life.
Well, they're normally brilliant, and they're A-okay with going upstairs. I don't know whether you've seen how tough it is to get a real kid up the steps, but it's a lot more difficult than it is in a sitcom.
And they will freak their parents out on TV if they mention the word sex.
Here is Chris. Chris, you're on Run Fez.
Hey, buddies, how you doing?
Good.
What about getting locked in somewhere? Meat locker, basement, liquor storage cabinet, or whatever. A bunch of people, always a couple of people who get locked in together, learn something about each other. One of those they did on the Bob Newhart show, Archie and Meathead.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, but you did come up with, I don't think I've ever even been in a giant freezer, let alone with friends.
Now, sometimes they'll add this to that gimmick, where it was they have to be somewhere, too, and they're locked in. Like there's a wedding going on that they're supposed to be at, and they're locked in the basement.
Okay, but and let me add one more thing.
All right.
What do they manage to find? Bottle of booze. Just happens to be a bottle of booze here. Here is Tim. Tim, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hi, Buzz.
Yeah.
What about how they rehash old hack celebrities like Celebrity Fitness and Celebrity Rehab, and they're not actually real celebrities.
Well, that's those are sitcom things, but in the sitcom thing to throw celebrities in, I actually know celebrities, and none of them show up at my house. On those fucking sitcoms, everybody could get a fucking celebrity to come over.
Well,
I host Unmasked. You think I could get a fucking big comic to come over and do my fucking kid's party? It's never gonna happen.
You also, for the celebrity to come by your house, you have to have a friend that's absolutely crazy about that particular celebrity.
Well, yeah, you have that. And then, wait a minute. My friend is the maid for Desi Arnaz Jr.'s mom. Maybe I could get him to come over. And back when that happened, was Desi Arnaz Jr. even famous?
That might have been the same time that he was on like his mother's second or third show. So maybe it was even like almost like a crossover.
Okay. That might have worked. I forgot that he used to do that show with her. Here is Tim. Tim, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey guys, was calling. My in-laws are from Ecuador, and even though they speak a little bit of English, they love these over-the-top shows, particularly Three's Company, because the over-the-top acting they can understand without necessarily understanding English.
Oh, sure. If you see Mr. Furley freaking out, you're going to know what's happening. If he's hyperventilating.
You don't have to know English to understand when Ritter's character was going out and doing something silly at his store or whatever.
Here is Chris. Chris, you're on the Ron and Fez show. Chris, we got him?
Oh, hey, Ron, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah.
Well, I've been a paramedic for 2 years now, and one of the big misconceptions is that CPR and shocking people really doesn't work that well. I've only seen a couple people come out of it, and half the time they're drooling retards afterwards.
So, you really don't pull them back that easy once they start to go.
I didn't know that.
Oh, it's really hard. I mean, people don't realize that in a pre-hospital setting, getting someone's heart beating again is, really, really tough. And, and in all these medical shows, people, just shock,
hate this
and
news?
they're back.
Yeah, I thought it just took a slap of the paddles and you're back. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 hits, but the person does come back and they're basically fine. They're themselves.
All right, let's stay with this. What to you was the wackiest plot that you ever saw in a sitcom?
I would think that it was probably Lucy out on the ledge of a building trying to play Superman.
See, I thought the weirdest thing that I ever saw in a sitcom, and I'll watch this every time, was when WKRP in Cincinnati was the thing that was the radio station when the Who thing happened and all those people got killed. And they spent the rest of the time going like this. The real problem is this festival seating. Where they try to fucking fix it. Most of the people who go to rock shows are really cool. It's just some of the people who make it dangerous. And you're like, how is this a fucking sitcom? Are you trying to make me cry on purpose? Any sitcom that tries to make you cry.
Oh, yeah, when Arnold's friend on Different Strokes got molested. Just to throw that in
They
a sitcom.
said that was the most masturbated to sitcom in the history of American TV. I said smoke them if you got them. Light them up. Chris, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, I got a premise. How about this asinine thing where they go to jail for some wacky thing like, oh yeah, he was caught naked on a fire escape holding a fish. If someone goes to jail, it's a pretty big fucking deal, but these sitcoms make it seem like it happens to everybody.
Yeah, if you're fucking in jail like they are, you don't normally meet that one funny guy who ends up becoming your friend and you give him pounds later and you're like, okay, take it easy, Tiny. You're like, what the fuck am I doing in here?
A lot of times, too, if someone ends up in jail on a sitcom, the judge will be away on a fishing trip, and it takes a while for him to get back into town.
Jim, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron Fez. You know what drives me nuts is the amount of stuff that goes on in air conditioning ducts on these shows. It's like everybody can crawl around and walk around from room to room. Nobody hears them. Nobody knows they're up there.
There is a ton of time spent in those ducks. And again, in real life, I've never even seen a maintenance man in one of those. Let alone like a regular person. And how are you going to know where to fucking go? How long do you think it would take you to crawl through the AC duct here in this building? It would take forever.
You'd never see me again.
JV, you're on the air.
Yeah, one thing that I saw that is the swinging kitchen door. You ever been in a house that has that kitchen door that swings back and forth?
Yeah,
No,
and the
you
amount of
haven't.
people that have been... Why is getting hit so funny? Here's William, you're on Ron and Fez.
Hey, buddies. It used to drive me nuts with even I Love Lucy or All in the Family, especially Family Ties. Any house that had two doors, wherever the family was, the neighbors would come through the right door. How the hell do they know which room that they were in from the outside of the house?
Well, yeah, that's a good one. And here's another one. When someone in the family comes home, there's no TV on. They come in and they all just start talking. How was your day? But no one ever does this. You come into the house. How was your day? No, now I got to take a piss. Give me fucking 5 seconds. When you're right away asking me about my day, let me go fucking take a leak, and I'll come back here and answer every little fucking question you have, Gossip Girl. But don't most people come home from work and after a long drive, you got to take a piss? It's the first thing. They never do on a sitcom.
Well, you don't even see the keys get put down.
I want to write a sitcom called Let Me Take a Piss First. And before every argument that he has with his wife, his thin, beautiful wife, he says this, hold on, let me take a piss first.
That could be the opening scene, and then they could play the theme while he's taking the piss, and then pick it up after that.
You know, here's another thing, too. No one ever comes in and gets out of their fucking uncomfortable clothes. You'll see the dad walking around. If anything, they put a sweater on over their uncomfortable clothes. You think the guy would be like this? She's asking questions. Hold on. Let me take a piss first and put on my sweatpants. Here's Eric. Eric, you're on Fez.
Yeah, what about every dumb, forgettable husband always buys the wife a nice anniversary gift, and the wife is saying, oh, he better not forget this year, and he hides it in a coat, and then a coat gets thrown away, or...
Why wouldn't he just keep it in his own fucking drawer? If she thinks, well, she'll find it in here. Well, guess what? Go ahead and fucking find it. You want to open up your anniversary present, your birthday present? Who's fucking stopping you? But hold on, before you open it, let me take a piss first. I just got it from work. And I'm going to put on some sweatpants. Adam, you're on Fez.
Hey there, how about the revenge plot that always goes awry when the main character has a great plan and then always feels bad about doing it afterwards?
They do have a tendency. I think guilt plays a much bigger place on TV than anywhere else.
Well, there'll always be a confession, even at the end of the sitcom.
Yeah.
It was me who broke the vase.
Well, then also, that thing where your dad has that that talk with you.
Oh, in the den.
Yeah, it never has happened to me in my life. Not as a son or a father. Once I remember I was going to have this talk with my dad, and he goes like this. Hold on, let me take a piss first. He goes in there. I'm waiting. I go, Dad? He goes, I changed my mind. It's a shit. And then by that time, a full half hour went by. It was the end of the episode.
Well, who can remember what they wanted to talk about after that much time anyway? 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ.
Here's JW. You're on Fez.
Hey, Ronnie. What gets a really loud uproar from the audience every time is when the toilet flushes for some reason.
Well, what isn't funny about that? There's shit in there. They're all fucking just having the time of their life. Tyson, you're on Fez.
Hey, I always take my shoes off when I come home. I don't know about you guys.
I do too. I got to get out of the fucking shoes. Anyone who wears their fucking shoes while they're walking around their house is a kid toucher.
I keep my shoes on.
Seriously?
Yeah, or move to slippers. I definitely keep socks on.
Move to slippers?
Yeah.
What for?
Because I don't like my bare feet on the floor.
Oh. I gotta get out of that fucking shit. Can't even breathe right now thinking about it. All right, that is it for us.